You are Locked On Tigers Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Detroit on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
All right, let's give this one another go, and we say good Sunday morning to you because it is late, but nothing has changed. It's another Tigers defeat. Welcome into a live Locked On Tigers postcast. I am your host, Jake Riepma. You can follow me on Twitter at Jake_Riepma. And for those that are staying up late, you guys are crazy, but I appreciate it. Tigers fall once again to the Los Angeles Angels. 3 losses in a row to the Angels, 4 overall. And the final in this one, 6-5. It's in extra innings, and the Tigers blow a 3-run lead. How disappointing, but we'll break it all down. Another loss, but Reese Olson was really, really good. But after losing the first 3 of this 4-game series, that's now 6 series losses out of their last 7. So that's where we are. And like I said, thanks for staying up late with me on Locked On Tigers postcast. And even more importantly, a bigger thanks for making Locked On Tigers postcast your destination following the final out and your destination for all things Detroit sports postcast. That's right. Your first listen after the final out, the final whistle, whatever it may be, every single day, free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube. It's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. This episode of the Locked On Tigers postcast is brought to you by Booking.com. The right state can make you a fan of any city, even your rivals. Check out Booking.com for your stay today. And you know what? That'd be about the only good thing you've got going if you are a Tigers fan and you're staying and you're at the Angels Stadium. Although I talked about this on the broadcast last night. I actually do like the Angels Stadium and that area. I think Disney's close by. I'm not an expert in that area in Anaheim and whatnot, but where the Ducks play, you can see where the Ducks play from the seats in the Angels Stadium. But I'm getting carried away. Let's get into this one. 6-5. Extra innings loss. You could feel it happening. And poor Reese Olson. Poor Reese Olson. The guy just deserves better. 6 innings, 6 quality innings. He kind of fought through some, not control issues, but for him, not his A-plus stuff, but fought through it, gets through the 6th, and then the bottom of the 7th, it's 2 runs for the Angels, 1 more in the 8th to tie it up, and then the 1 to win it in the 10th. The bullpen just not good. If I were to chalk this one up, it's to the bullpen. Jake Rogers offensively gives this Tigers team a lead, and albeit not necessarily a comfy lead, but a lead you would expect them to be able to hold. A 5-2 lead, and the Angels come all the way back to get the win. But I want to go through this one because I wrote down some observations that sometimes I admittedly get into a bad habit of just focusing in on what happens at the very end. And I think as we continue to kind of grind through this losing streak on our end, that it is sometimes repetitive to just say, here's what happened down the stretch. This is why the Tigers lost, and let's move on. So some other things that kind of stood out to me, I don't want to call them under the radar observations, but just kind of a different little segment here to begin things, where just some things that I just jotted down throughout the course of the game. Colt Keith, and it's not going to go down as an error, but he misplays that ball at second early in the game. You can't assume a double play, and it's not going to go down as an error, but I tweeted this out. I think Colt Keith's defense, for whatever reason, or lack thereof, his defensive shortcomings don't get brought up enough. He seems like a liability at second base. Now, that one didn't come back to haunt them, but at the same time, it's like, come on. What are we doing? We can't have those easy misplays. And the Tigers only scored 1 run with the bases loaded and nobody out early on in this game. Canna popped out, then Colt Keith grounded out, and it was hit so softly that the Angels couldn't turn 2. So, and that was from earlier in the game. But when you have these closer games, you got to capitalize on the opportunities. So bases loaded and nobody out, and the Tigers get the one run there on the Colt Keith fielder's choice. That's all that we could muster up, and it feels like you had the starter on the ropes a little bit with Canning there, and the Tigers just really couldn't take advantage of it. And that's one of the things that might get lost in the wash, I should say, when you look at this box score and thinking, oh my goodness, one run game, we were right there, we blew it. But you could have maybe given yourself a little bit more of some cushion, some insurance, whatever you want to use for it. So another little, I don't want to call it under the radar observation, but just something that's worth pointing out. And I thought Reese Olson, I wrote down, does a good job of just getting out of jams and again pitching around some traffic. Had first and third and nobody out. Bottom of the third, first and third, no outs. And that's when Rengifo steals second, no throw, which I don't understand with the first and third, why there wasn't a throw through there. Then you get the walk, so the bases are loaded. And this is where Reese Olson then gets the strikeout. He's got one out, and it's the wild pitch. I thought Jake Rogers could have done a better job of trying to block that ball. He's got to stop that ball from getting to the backstop, because bases loaded, wild pitch, scores a run, and then it takes you out of the double play, because sure enough, the next batter is a ground ball to Mark Canha. And I don't know if it would have been, I mean, like we always say, you can't assume the double play, but it might have been an opportunity to turn two there and get out of the inning with no harm if there's not that wild pitch. So, but you got to give the Tigers some credit, because they came back in the fourth with the back-to-back singles. How about Gio Urshela? He breaks the 0 for 28 slump. And that's a guy that we haven't really talked about. I think a lot of people were blaming some of the Tigers hitting woes on some of the young guys, which is fine. But Gio Urshela and Mark Canha just have not been good in the last couple of weeks. So good to see Urshela break out of it a little bit there. And then Jake Rogers, 2-run homer in the top of the sixth. And I don't know. I felt like, all right, there we go. A little bit of comfort and some insurance. Jake Rogers going into the rock wall with the home run ball. Maybe this will be a game that the Tigers get the win. Reese Olson gets out of the sixth with the strikeout. Season high 9 strikeouts for Reese Olson, 5 hits, only gave up 2 runs. And then Bo Brisky comes in, walks the leadoff batter. You get the single, and error by Riley Green, which we've talked about at times too. That Riley Green's defense in the outfield, I feel like, has taken a step back. And then Taylor Ward with the 2 RBI double. It felt like when Taylor Ward hit that 2 RBI double and the Angels came right back with a couple of runs after Jake Rogers' 2-run homer. Then in the bottom of the 7th, they get those 2 runs. It's like, all right, sure enough. And that's when it creaked open, down just 1 run. The Angels get 1 more in the bottom of the 8th on that O'Hoppe homer to left center to tie it all up at 5. And then we know what happened in extra innings. And the extra inning effort from the Tigers was just so predictable. And I don't want to pick on Vierling, because I feel like he's one of the few guys that has actually contributed on a consistent basis. But you just can't strike out when you have a runner on second to start that extra innings, because then Canha grounds out. And even though the runner goes over to third, you've got the 2 outs. And so when the Tigers, I mean, again, not to insult anybody here, and we love everybody here, but everybody knew when the Tigers didn't score a run in the top half of the 10th that this one was over. So I've blabbed long enough. Let's get to the comments. Appreciate everybody tuning in late night. I mean, 1:17 in the morning. Wow, we are all crazy. Everybody here, we are all crazy, but want to give everybody their time. If you haven't yet, subscribe to Locked On Sports Detroit. Got to be a subscriber to comment. We're going to do subscriber-only videos here, but appreciate everybody who has subscribed to Locked On Sports Detroit. Word Vango gets the first word. Who cares anymore? Yeah, I mean, that's certainly a fine response. I said last night, I guess technically it might have been today too, since it goes in the morning on these late West Coast games. But I said we need an AJ Hinch to turn into George Knox on Angels in the outfield and just freak out on the guys in the clubhouse. I don't know if that happened or not. But we've got our word here on Locked On Sports Detroit. Born cool, one of those games, only a bad team loses. Exactly. The Tigers are certainly a bad team, and it's getting painful to watch. So painful. Demetrius McNeil is up next. Up 5-2, not only lose the lead in game, lack of clutch hitting still an issue, and we are looking at a 17-game losing streak into the All-Star break. Yeah. Oh, man, that All-Star break. It wasn't that long ago we were talking about rallying the troops and trying to make a push before the All-Star break to not be way out of a wild card spot. But, man, those days are long gone. I don't think they're going to lose 17 in a row. Let's hope not. Anyways, YouTube user, perhaps MLB should not place a base runner on second until the 12th inning. I don't like the current rule as it is written. You know what? That's actually a great point, YouTube user. And I've said it time and time again. I hate the gimmicky ghost runner on second to begin an inning. And I've said that exact same remark. If you want to do it after maybe 2 innings that the tie isn't broken, and I get it, you don't want to play those marathon games, but to start, it seems like it forces the issue a little bit too much to do it in the 10th. So I'm with you. After 2 innings, maybe do it in the 12th if you want to do it that way. But it still doesn't excuse the fact that the Tigers didn't score with a runner on second and nobody out, and the Angels did. It gets pretty simple. Rufus, the Motor City Kitty fan, says, "Well, Rufus, were you at the game?" I hope so. All right. It's only 10 here. Yeah, there you go. All right, we're going to take a quick break, dive into Reese Olson's outing because I thought it was really, really good. And nothing else, Tigers fans. We've got Reese Olson, and we have a decent pitching staff. We just have nothing. I forget who said it, but who cares anymore? Back in a moment on Locked On Tigers Postcast. Locked On Tigers Postcast is brought to you by Booking.com. Yeah. With summer travel heating up, especially travel for baseball games, it's time to explore those U.S. cities you always secretly wanted to learn more about. Yes, we're talking about your rival cities with hotels, bed and breakfast, vacation rentals, resorts, and so much more on Booking.com. You might just find your perfect stay even in your baseball rival city. I can remember as a kid, as an adult, all the different road trips we would take, and it always mattered where you'd stay. In fact, sometimes that defined the trip. I can remember staying in a really cool hotel in Cleveland for a Tigers Indians series. Now, of course, Tigers Guardians, but you get the point. One of my favorite road trips as a kid. Remember going to Wrigley Field to see Sammy Sosa play. Those are the memories that just really enhance your fandom of Major League Baseball. And why not make it a little bit better with finding the perfect stay using Booking.com and Booking.yeah. From hotels that overlook stadiums to family-friendly resorts, Booking.com has so many choices across the U.S. for your summer travel this MLB season. The right stay can make you a fan of any U.S. city, even your rivals. Book today on Booking.com, on the site, or on the Booking.com app. Today's episode is also brought to you by eBay Motors. That's right, our friends at eBay Motors. And I'm telling you why we love eBay Motors, because they've got the formula figured out. And that formula is passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships. It's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Maybe the Tigers could maybe take a page out of that book, because they haven't seen peak performance since the last time Tarek Skubal pitched. I'm talking about superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. So whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Before we go any further, I just want to give a sincere shout out to everybody that we've got on the stream. I mean, my goodness, it's late on the East Coast, it's late in the Central Time Zone, and it's even late on the West Coast. I mean, even locally for those that are at the game or that might have been at the game, we're talking let's see, 124 minus 3, so that'd be 1024. Yeah, time zones are tough, but on these late night games, I appreciate everybody staying up late with me into the following morning. Hopefully everybody can sleep in tomorrow. But Reese Olson ties the season high with the 9 strikeouts. Really impressive stuff there. And unfortunately, it's another time. I feel like some of these instances this season, we could just play the tape recording back. And Reese Olson's starts are an example where he does everything he can to give his team a chance to win. And then something happens to prevent him from getting the win. And honestly, I got to check his record. I think it would have been just his 3rd win anyways. So yeah, I mean, he's 2-8, and the amount of no decisions or even losses he's gotten, it's honestly, I think he's gotten shelled maybe 3 or 4 times this season, but other than that, it's just been a string of bad luck and a string of his team just not helping him out. But 6 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned runs. He walked 3, struck out 9, 98 pitches, 63 of them for strike. I think he did a good job of keeping hitters off balance. But the Angels, and they were talking about this on the broadcast a little bit, they started to ambush the Tigers bullpen swinging at the first pitches. And I think the solo home run to tie the game was on the first pitch. I know the game winning hit down the line in the 10th was on the first pitch. There was just a lot of ambush first pitch hits for this Angels team. And, maybe that's something that this Tigers team has to take a look at the tape and learn some things on it. But I always struggle with being too honest or too transparent. And when the Tigers have played this bad of a brand of baseball, it's hard for me to just continue to dive in and really analyze what we're seeing on the field, because at the end, it's just a bad product. It's a bad product that's hard to watch. And if you do watch day in and day out, night in and night out, you just get to a point where you put both hands up, say, I can't take it anymore, because I can't think of any other way to look at it other than this season's completely washed once again, and we're not even to the All-Star break. We're not even close. Rieger had a good tweet about it yesterday. I can't remember if I bookmarked it or not. But it was just talking about how, that it's one thing after another. And I mean, 16 games back in the division, lost 16 of their last 22 games. And Rieger and I love to talk about how well Matt Chapman's doing. He went 3 for 5 with an RBI today, and not that the Tigers' offense was the issue today. It was the bullpen. But that said, it's going, when you find ways to lose games as opposed to finding ways to winning games, and you do this on a daily basis with 162 games, it seems like each night there's going to be someone that's more to blame than somebody else. And tonight it was Bo Brisky, and it was the guys that just failed to get the job done. It was Will Vest giving up the home run. And you don't want to put it, I mean, it's not an earned run for Jason Foley, and he's in a tough spot there, but it's not like it was, I mean, they obviously Angels only had to get the 1 run. So there was a sacrifice bunt. Then you got a runner on third, you bring the infield or bring an extra outfielder in. Veerling comes in to play another infielder position, a 5th infielder. And that ball, the game-winning hit, I mean, it was roped down the line. It didn't matter where anybody was playing. Nobody's catching that ball. Because that game-winning hit from Pilar, I mean, and Taylor Ward scoring easily, but like I said, that's a hit that doesn't matter where anybody's playing in that. So Foley wasn't his best either. But in general, just the bullpen, you can't blow a 3-run lead with just 9 outs to work with. I mean, that doesn't it shouldn't be that way. So when you look at what happened tonight, it's the bullpen. So that said, 16 of their last 22 games. Golly, just 6-16. Oh man, that's tough to even say out loud. But here we are. So I mean, I wanted, before we close it out and tie a bow on this one, I do want to discuss, some of the things that are going on online right now involving the Tigers. And I don't want to speculate on anything, but obviously Craig Monroe's name has been on the internet. So we'll discuss that next and tie a bow on this one when we come back. Don't go anywhere. Locked On Tigers continues in just a moment. Locked On Tigers postcast in just a moment. Oh, yeah. This episode of Locked On Tigers Postcast is brought to you by Game Time. You got to download the Game Time app and use that code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. And that's the good stuff. That, if you tune me out the rest of the way, totally get it. But here's what you need to know about the Game Time app. They guarantee the lowest price, and they reward you if you're a procrastinator like me, because the closer you get to the game, the more and more that price goes down, down, down. We're talking last minute ticket deals for the lowest price possible. It's a win-win-win for everybody. And I'm not just talking about baseball games, live events, think concerts, comedy shows. We got the NFL season coming up. Maybe you want to get to some of those preseason games, because my goodness, football season can't get here fast enough. But at the same time, who doesn't enjoy a day at the ballpark, even if your team is as lousy as the Tigers? So with a really easy to use app, nice, easy interface, my grandparents even use the Game Time app. And let me tell you, love them to death, but if they can use it, so can you. The Game Time app is real simple. It guarantees the lowest price possible, even as you get closer and closer to the time of the game. High-res photo from the view of your seat, so there's no deception. And this is probably my favorite part. Not even probably, it is all in pricing. That's right. How many times you buy tickets, you think you got a great deal, you go to checkout and fee. No. With the Game Time all in pricing feature, you can just look and see exactly what you're going to pay, and helps you just keep track of how good of a deal that you're getting. And last but certainly not least, they have these things called flash deals, which is great because you might not have a preference on where you want to sit. So maybe you find that flash deal for the best price possible. But don't take my word for it. You got to download the Game Time app and take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms to apply, but create that account, redeem that code using Locked On MLB. That's LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute ticket deals, lowest price guaranteed. Okay. Tigers lose to the Angels 6-5. They've lost 16 of their last 22 games, plummeting fast. 9 games under 500. Yes, we just know it's bad any way you slice it. 6-5 loss to the Angels. They've taken the first 3 of the series. But I think when you talk about this team, there's other things going on. And if you're like me, you follow Tigers Twitter and you've seen the discussion of everything that has surfaced online today, and some really, really horrific allegations against Tigers broadcaster Craig Monroe from things that have stemmed from years and years ago, regarding the allegations that are regarding sexual assault and some really, really horrific things. And Craig Monroe obviously has been on an absence from Bally Sports, so I don't know if the two are related. But again, that surfaced online today. I just wanted to mention it, that I am aware of the situation, or aware of what surfaced online, aware of the allegations. And I just wanted to say that we wait to see how it all plays out before any kind of statement or any kind of determination is made, because it really is just some horrific stuff that he is accused of doing. So unfortunately, that's all I think at this point in time, before comments are even made about the victim, about Craig Monroe. It's just really horrific of what he's accused of doing. And depending on what happens with the allegations, with the accuser, with Craig Monroe, it's just wanted to say I've seen it, I've read the allegations, and I'm aware of the situation. And it just leaves you speechless what he's accused of doing. But that said, the court of public opinion is one thing, but the legal system and everything involved is another thing. We'll see how it all plays out, but I don't think we're going to be seeing Craig Monroe on any broadcasts anytime soon for the Detroit Tigers and for Valley Sports. But that's all I'll say about it. I just didn't want to go a whole show and have anybody ask me if I'm living under a rock, because I've seen it, I've read it, and my jaw dropped reading the statements from the accuser. So that said, looking ahead for the Tigers, chance to try to salvage a game against the Angels on Sunday. Tomorrow would actually, no, who am I kidding? That's today, because it is a late night game. So that said, we've got a little later of a first pitch, 4:00 tomorrow, with being out west against the Angels, and then an off day Monday before taking on the Minnesota Twins beginning Thursday. Let me just double check that that's exactly what we've got here, because tomorrow it's going to be Casey Mize against Tyler Anderson. And then, Tigers will be off on Monday, back at it on Tuesday. And then it's after Minnesota, it's Cincinnati. So fun road trip ahead. Or more. I don't know if it's fun at any point in this time with the Tigers, but more road games to go, because why not? Oh man! All right, Mary Jo Isaacson in the comments, put that on screen. Thought we would win tonight, but no, Tigers don't know how to win. They sure don't know how to win right now. It is a bad movie after bad movie after bad movie. But you know what? They're our team, and what else can you say? But appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. I know it was a late one, especially after an extra inning loss. And not only that, after a game that the Tigers led by 3 after the Jake Rogers home run, but still unable to find a way to close it. But hey, don't worry. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. And now it's available on Amazon Fire TV in the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with local experts. Locked On, plus national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today, now available on the free Fire TV channels app. Casey Mize tomorrow for the Tigers. I believe it's Tyler Anderson for the Angels. Indeed, it is. And it's the righty Casey Mize versus the lefty Tyler Anderson. Casey Mize 1-6 on the season, 4.54 ERA. Tyler Anderson 7-7 with a 2.63 ERA. First pitch just after 4:00. So get your stuff done during the day, and then maybe kick your feet up for a nice Sunday afternoon nap during this one. But that's all the time we have for tonight. Thanks so much for watching. As always, greatly appreciated. And we'll see you after first pitch or after the final out tomorrow. Tigers fall 6-5 to the Angels. They're now 37-46. And we'll talk to you tomorrow on Locked On Tigers Postcast.